Sunday morning. This is episode 2 of our new format. Clayton has not joined us tonight. He's got some other things going on. I heard something about dinner with his wife, some other things going on in his life this busy week of Thanksgiving. So, and I'd like to say to all of our viewers, I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. This will go up next Monday. So Thanksgiving would have already passed, but we hope that you had a great holiday and that you had some good time with some friends and family as well. So Ryan, what's going on in your world right now?
Yeah, so I am preparing for my own Thanksgiving plans. I'm headed to the beach. Sounds strange because it's cool outside, but change of location is what we've decided this year.
Excellent. And you're not going, it sounded like the saddest Thanksgiving plans ever, because you're not going alone to the beach.
Yes, I'm not going alone,
It made it sound like you were kind of just going to the beach by yourself.
Oh, no.
So I just want to make sure before you start getting all the tweets and the comments afterwards, like, I'm so sorry, Ryan, why didn't Drew invite you over to his house for Thanksgiving? You're going with your family, which is wonderful.
It is. It's beautiful.
So anything else going on?
Let's see. Getting ready for Advent in the church. We've been, going to town on getting the church ready, and had a bunch of people there today from the congregation just helping put up trees, get stuff ready for Sunday. And that's kind of exciting to be in a church for the first time for an Advent season, at least for me.
Yeah, and it's something I miss because I'm not in a church anymore, and so we don't have to do any of that. Which in some ways is nice, but it definitely, you miss the tradition of the church. Sure. You miss kind of just the preparation. I feel like if you do that now, I'm just a participant. We don't get to sit down and talk about that and really intentionally plan what is happening within the life of the church during Advent.
Sure.
So I miss it a little bit. There's some things I miss, some things I don't miss at all. But I do miss Advent and the preparation for Christmas. One thing I won't miss, though, is having to preach for all those pastors who are preaching on Christmas Day. In fact, Ryan, I don't know if you know this, someone actually asked me if I wanted to preach on Christmas Day, and I laughed at them before saying no thank you. So that probably was classless. Much of what I do is classless, but it is what it is.
Yep.
So
I'll be heading home Christmas Day.
Yeah, you all don't have services on Christmas Day, which is good too.
Yeah.
So, how many services do you all have on Christmas Eve?
5.
Exactly. Pick one of those. One of those. And for all the churches that do have Christmas Day services, good for you too. I think that is an important tradition if that's something you've always had and something that's meaningful for your church. I just, for one, am happy to be able to spend that time with my family, and it sounds like you are too. With that being said, I want to talk about this news story I saw on Sports Illustrated. It's not on the website. It was kind of in a sidebar. This article was written by Greg Bishop and Michael McKnight, again, of Sports Illustrated. And they actually did some kind of polling. Again, I remember reading it. We were cleaning the house and we threw away the article. But on the sidebar, it had 2 very interesting statistics that I would like to, maybe chat about. And the whole thing was the state of football in America, American football. And it said that 21% of people would choose football over their religion. And so we'll maybe start there. But more surprisingly to me, and maybe not surprising, it was just really disappointing, is that 1.2% of people who were polled, and it wasn't a huge poll or anything like that, named that they would choose football over their family. And I thought that was really disappointing. But maybe let's just talk about maybe church in general for a couple minutes. And my guess is for lots of those persons, they're talking about church. And so the question for me becomes, are they choosing Jesus over, or football over Jesus, or football over church? And I think that's a really interesting conversation to kind of have because,
Sure.
yeah. So what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I wrestle pretty regularly with this idea of really a culture where I am of convenience. What's convenient for me to do the things I want to do, and really, if for instance, whether it's a service project that's more accessible than another, that it's just a matter of showing up and doing something for an hour, or it's attending church and then leaving and not doing much beyond that. It definitely seems that Sunday time especially has sort of had a reverse flip, so to speak. People want what's convenient, and if church is inconvenient, I think that plays a lot into it. But I also think it's time definitely plays a role in it. But why this one thing in particular? And is it just football, or is it sports in general? Is it kids playing sports? Is it, what is it about this phenomenon that takes priority?
Right. Well, and for me, one of the questions that I had, and my first reaction was, shame on everyone for choosing football. And again, this was specifically football, so they didn't say, sports in general. Sorry I'm boring you. But my other point then was, and while religion is not, and church should not be an entertainment factor, I've been to about 30 or 40 churches in my lifetime. I travel around. I've always traveled around and gone to different churches. I've been a part of great churches. So this is not an indictment on any church I've recently been to or any church that I've worked at. But from things I've read, from stories I've heard, from churches I visited, I mean, when I was going around as an associate pastor trying to figure out what church I wanted to be at, I literally interviewed, I think, at 8 or 10 churches. It's amazing the fact that we as church people will settle for mediocrity a lot. And people aren't willing to put up with mediocrity in any aspect of their life, let alone their religion. So you hear a lot more people say, hey, I'm spiritual, but not religious, which means that they're not interested in being part of a church.
Right.
And I think in some ways that this is a continued trend of that. I mean, we've seen Pew studies, we've seen all these places that say attendance in mainline denominations are going down, membership in mainline denominations are going down. And while I think that our religion, our spirituality, our belief in Jesus Christ should be at the forefront, I think that should be the same thing in our local churches as well. That we should want to do it better than anyone else. We should want to find new ways to communicate the good news of the gospel. We should want to make sure that our buildings are clean and ready to go at any time for when people show up. We should try and make our ushers aware, hey, be on the lookout for new people. We should explain things in the service like we're expecting someone new to be sitting out there. And our people should be okay with that because we're trying to share that good news of the gospel and don't want to give anyone a stumbling block for what's going on. And I think in some ways, and again, in a lot of, and again, I'm not talking about any church in particular. I've read a lot. I've visited a lot. I've been around the block, not just Methodist churches, but Catholic churches, Mennonite churches, I mean, the whole gamut. And there are some churches that they don't see the huge mess in their narthex as a deterrent for being a welcoming congregation. They don't see the music being so painful that no one, that becomes a laughing joke between the members, and that gets in the way of really doing good discipleship. And so we've settled for mediocrity in some ways. And so I get why 21% of people would say, if I had to choose between my favorite team playing on Sunday and going to church, I might pick football. And that's not right, but we need to do a better job of making sure that we are hospitable, that we are always ready for visitors, and that we are looking for new ways to communicate the gospel of Jesus Christ. And there are lots of churches doing that really well. 79% of people did not say that they would give up religion. And, within even that 21%, there are people who don't believe in anything. Yep. And so, of course, they would give it up because it doesn't really matter to them. It just hit me that we need to do a better job and be more excellent in the way in which we do church.
Mm-hmm. And I think something about the senses plays into it too. What is the sensory need that people want? I mean, I know that's not the high priority when we're trying to, make our churches more effective and able to reach people and feel like people want to stay in there and actually worship there and not head out the door so quickly is, being aesthetically pleasing. I mean, that goes with the cleanliness, but also, if football is capturing them for its pretty routine, expectations on a sensory level, what can the church do that changes things up, like you said?
The beautiful thing about church is the deep traditions that we have, but the ways in which they're reinvented with each new generation.
Yes.
And that's been happening since the beginning with the original apostles, and has continued to happen throughout time. And we need to continue that legacy of excellence. Again, most churches are. 71% or 79% people said, no, I would not choose that. So we're doing something right. I just think we could be doing more and do better. So, and it sounds like, I won't put words in your mouth.
No, but that tension you raised of, I'm spiritual but not religious can easily become a cop-out or a cushion for somebody's excuse for not actually attending worship on a Sunday.
Absolutely.
I'm good because I have the beliefs and they're there. But then it's, for me at least, I'm the person that believes that, belief is incomplete without actually acting on it and living it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, the two have to go hand in hand. And if it's just kind of casual complacency of, yes, I believe in a higher power or God or whatever, but I feel like, I'm perfectly content sitting on my couch on a Sunday and not feeling like I'm judged or not feeling like I'm, disrespecting God by not showing up to worship.
Yeah.
The family piece, though, that statistic bothers me. Even though it's so small, it's just...
That's right. How would anyone choose... And then let me tell you, more people choose football over their family because they treat their family like crap after their favorite team loses or something happens in any kind of sporting event. Don't do that. Your family's with you forever, okay? So you need to pick your family over anything, football, soccer, whatever. It's really important because, we don't need to be doing therapy for children whose parents love football more than them and would admit it to a national publication. And so I would say that there's more people that actively choose that. 1.4 or 1.2 were brave enough to name that for Sports Illustrated. So it's sad.
It's sad.
Family comes first.
Either somebody has messed up priorities, or somebody truly has a family that is, I don't know.
Yeah. And if you're the parent, you need to fix your family if that's the case.
That's true. Whoever filled out that survey.
I just felt bad, yeah. Well, again, that whole segment was just on kind of this conversation piece of this news article that we read on football and on religion in general. There was a tie in there, but we're not bashing any churches. I love the churches I worked at. I know you love the church that you serve. So that is not, again, for the third or fourth time, that is not an indication of us trying to do veiled passive-aggressive stuff. I'm the kind of person that if I have an issue, I will definitely let you know to your face. You don't have to worry about that. Moving on, I wanted to bring up the Huffington Post article about a man who still doesn't know who won election and wants to keep it that way. So this is a guy from Brunswick, Georgia. Oh, and this story was written by David Moye, M-O-Y-E. So I want to make sure we quote and give sources. Man in Brunswick, Georgia is elected not to finally win the election. He went to bed and just kept deciding to put it off. And he wears a sign walking around with headphones on that says, "I don't know who won and don't want to. Please don't tell me." And so he's trying to wait until 2020 to figure out who won the election. Ryan, your thoughts on this?
Yeah. So two things immediately came to mind. It took me several years after the last Harry Potter book came out to finally read it. And I intentionally knew I was going to read it. But I also intentionally blocked out any conversations about it by vocally saying, nope, don't tell me. And I was able, within a year's time, to not know anything about it until I read it. So with that, I think it's a little easier, but I can't imagine something that's so streamlined in a variety of ways, in print, electronically, in public conversation, like being on I imagine in our area alone, being on a metro or being on a bus, like it's a hot topic of conversation. The other thing I thought about was, the movie Groundhog Day. Like constantly rewinding back, like prior to the event, or something like out of A Christmas Carol. Like you wake up and like nothing actually happened, or you wake up and it's different, and you're blocking out everything you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
But like this guy must not have, like, not to sound morbid or like sobering, but does this man have friends that he spends time with that hold him, like, that he holds accountable to his desire?
Yeah, I don't know. It does not talk about the number of friends this person has.
Or maybe he has a dog or a cat that he just, And I don't mean that in a mean way, but like I feel like you need some social interaction.
It totally came off in a mean way.
Oh, I know.
Oh, no, and I was trying to think of something that I would still like to have not known the outcome of, and for me it's the Star Wars prequels. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I wish I could live in a bubble where they were good. They're just not. They're terrible. And I just think, again, this whole thing of, I good luck. I just feel like you're missing 4 years of your life if you're walking around with headphones everywhere and a little plaque, on your shirt.
Yeah. So actually, like, if a decision's made that is affected by whoever's in office, like, I feel like you would know about it if it directly impacted you, and you could probably guess.
Or,
maybe.
Yeah. Or maybe not. I mean, maybe it would just be, you just kind of go through life and not know anything for the next 4 years and pay attention to nothing as far as news-wise.
True.
So, I don't know.
I'm trying to think of things that, I wish I, wouldn't have known.
You can steal mine. Mine's a pretty good one.
I mean, that is a great one.
Yeah. Like, the rest of the Matrix films, I would also say I wish I had not known that they were as bad as they were.
The sequels?
So, yeah. I wish it was just the first one and that was it.
Yeah. Because, it just... Yeah.
Exactly. Well, any other thoughts, comments?
On this article? I'm still
general.
Really stuck on it.
Which one? The guy who doesn't want to know the election results?
Yeah.
Or? Yeah.
I
wonder if he chooses football over religion or family.
I don't know, but
I don't know. Well,
my other question is, did he vote?
No, I don't know. I think, I don't know. I don't know. So it does not say in the article. Anyway, people can find you where?
People can find me at on Facebook. Ryan LaRock.
On Facebook. Go friend him.
I have a Twitter, but I don't actively use it. So if you try to follow me, you might hear back from me at annual conference time, the only time of the year I use it.
Perfect. And I'm at Drew Entz on Twitter. And maybe Instagram. I'm on Facebook, too. Really should get better at these plugs, I guess.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you again for joining us. Like, subscribe, comment. It really does help us out and makes us feel like somebody other than just our parents are watching. So, thanks so much and have a great week.